know those cars that look slow but are actually fast? Japan has made some of the best hidden performance cars that no one talks about. Today we are showing you unknown Japanese sleeper cars that can surprise anyone on the road. Number 15, Prince Skyline 2000 GTB, 1965. In the 1960s, many fast cars grabbed attention, but some powerful machines remained hidden. One of them was the Prince Skyline 2000 GTBS 54B2, a car that looked like an ordinary sedan but packed serious performance. This car was an evolution of the previous Skyline GT, but it was stronger, faster, and smarter. To handle its increased power, it had a reinforced chassis, front disc brakes, and stabilizers on both ends. It was not just about speed, it was built to handle corners with confidence. The catalog called it a wolf in sheep's skin, and that description could not have been more accurate. Prince Motor Company had been making Skylines since the late 1950s. However, when Nissan took over Prince in 1967, the Skyline became a Nissan product. But before that merger, the Skyline 2000 GTB was already proving itself as a serious performance car, even competing against sports cars on the track. The GTB model was different from the GTA, which had fewer performance features. The GTB came with 3 Weber carburetors, producing 123 horsepower at 5,600 revolutions per minute. It also had a rear torsion bar suspension, power brakes, and front disc brakes as standard. The GTA model lacked these features, making the GTB the true performance version. Even though the GTB was a serious performer, it did not get the recognition it deserved. Many people overlooked it because it looked like a regular 4-door car, but with a 5-speed close-ratio manual transmission, limited slip differential, and optional racing suspension. This was a car built for more than just daily driving. The Prince Skyline 2000 GTB was an unknown sleeper car that could easily surprise bigger and more famous cars of its time. It might not have had the global fame of later Skylines, but it laid the foundation for the high-performance models that would come later. This was a true hidden gem of the 1960s. Number 14, Isuzu Bellett 1600s GTR 1969. The Isuzu Bellett 1600s GTR 1969 was a car that most people never noticed, but it had everything needed to surprise bigger names. It was Japan's first car to be called a GT, Gran Turismo, yet it never became as famous as other performance cars of its time. Even though it looked like a simple coupe, this car had real racing potential. The Bellett GT first appeared in 1964 with a 98 cubic inch engine and twin carburetors. It was lower than the sedan version and had front disc brakes for better stopping power. Over the years, its performance kept improving. By 1969, the GTR version arrived, making this little car much stronger. The GTR was built for serious driving. Its 98 cubic inch engine now produced 95 horsepower, giving it a real boost. The GTR also had racing technology, making it one of the best handling cars in its class. But it was still unknown to many people, especially outside Japan. This car came in several versions, including a 2-door coupe and a fastback model. There were also sedan and station wagon versions. But the GTR was the true performance machine. It was light, well-balanced, and had a racing spirit that few people expected from an Isuzu. One reason the Bellett GTR stayed unknown was its limited production and strong competition. During the late 1960s, other Japanese companies were making their own sports cars, and many buyers overlooked this Isuzu. Even though it was ahead of its time, it never became a global legend like some of its rivals. The Bellett GTR was built for speed, but it remained in the shadows. With its racing-inspired suspension and powerful engine, it was more than just a simple coupe. But history often forgets the underdogs, and that is why this fast, well-designed, and rare machine never got the fame it deserved. Even today, few people recognize the Isuzu Bellett 1600s GTR, but those who do know that it was a true hidden performance car. It may not have been the most famous car of its time, but it was one of the best-kept secrets of the 1960s. If you enjoy this video, then like and subscribe for more hidden Japanese sleeper cars. Number 13, Toyota Corona 1600s GT 1967. The Toyota Corona 1600s GT 1967 was a hidden gem in the world of performance cars. While most people focused on bigger, more powerful machines, this compact coupe carried real racing DNA. It was inspired by the Toyota 2000 GT, one of Japan's most famous sports cars, but it remained in the shadows. Toyota introduced the Corolla 1600s GT in August 1967 using a 98 cubic inch engine, 4-cylinder, double overhead camshaft engine. This 9R engine was built with the same technology as the 122 cubic inch 3M engine from the Toyota 2000 GT, giving it 110 horsepower. It was made to be an affordable performance coupe, offering some of the excitement of the 2000 GT without the high price. The Corolla 1600s GT had a 2-door hardtop coupe body that made it look sportier than a regular Corolla. It had no automatic transmission, only a 4-speed manual with an optional 5-speed. A limited slip differential was standard, making it better for high-speed driving. The steering wheel was inspired by the 2000 GT, though it had a wood-grain plastic rim instead of real wood. Even though it was designed as a driver-focused machine, it still had some practical features. The rear seat was folded down for extra storage, and the trunk had plenty of space. The interior only came in black, with reclining bucket seats for the driver and passenger. It was a sports car, disguised as an everyday coupe. The Toyota Corolla 1600s GT came in 4 colors: Bellatrix Yellow, Pegasus White, Solar Red, and Thunder Silver Metallic. These were the same shades used on the Toyota 2000 GT, further connecting the two cars. Despite its impressive engineering and performance, this car never became famous. It had only 13 months of production, with just 2,222 units built. It was competing with the Isuzu Bellett GT, Nissan Bluebird SSS, and Prince Skyline 2000 GTB, which took much of the attention. The Toyota Corolla 1600s GT was an important piece of Toyota's history, influencing later models like the Toyota Celica GT and Corolla 11. But because it was overshadowed by bigger names, it remains an unknown legend, a true sleeper car of the 1960s. Number 12, Nissan Bluebird 1300 SSS, 1967. The Nissan Bluebird 1967 was a hidden performance car that very few people noticed. It looked like just another simple family sedan, but deep inside, it had a powerful engine that made it far more exciting than it seemed. While other cars in its category were built just for daily driving, this one had a sporty side that was overlooked by most people. The Bluebird 411 series was introduced in 1965 as an upgrade to the earlier 410 series. It kept the design clean and simple, but received some major improvements under the body. One of the biggest changes was the introduction of a 79 cubic inch 4-cylinder engine, which had a twin-barrel carburetor and produced 65 horsepower. This was already an improvement, but Nissan took things even further. In 1967, Nissan introduced the 98 cubic inch SSS version, which had a twin carburetor setup and pushed power to nearly 90 horsepower. That was a big boost for a car that still looked like an ordinary sedan. With a manual gearbox, it gave drivers full control, making it a surprisingly fun car to drive. Despite these upgrades, the Bluebird 1967 never stood out. Its exterior was very simple, and only small details like the rear lamp design separated it from other models. It was available as a 4-door sedan and a 5-door station wagon, but the 2-door version never made it to the United States. In fact, when it was sold in America, it was simply called Datsun, with no mention of the Bluebird name at all. The Nissan Bluebird 1967 had all the right ingredients to be a great performance sedan, but very few people realized it. Most buyers saw it as just another small family car, and because of that, it was quickly forgotten. But for those who knew its true potential, it was a hidden gem, a fast, well-built, and fun-to-drive car that was never given the credit it deserved. Number 11, Honda S800 Coupe, 1966. In 1966, Honda introduced a small but powerful car that many people overlooked. While other manufacturers focused on larger cars, the Honda S800 Coupe proved that a lightweight design and a high-revving engine could create an exciting driving experience. Despite its innovative engineering, this car remained unknown to many. The Honda S800 Coupe was a compact 2-door car with a simple yet sporty design. At the front, it had 2 round headlights and a trapezoidal grille with a single chrome bar running across it, featuring the Honda badge. The turn signals were placed on the grille, and a metallic bumper was installed below. The side profile of the car showed a long hood compared to its overall size, giving it a balanced and aggressive stance. It had small doors with chrome handles and a slightly sloped rear end. At the back, the taillights were mounted at the corners, and the chrome bumper gave it a classic appearance. Inside, the S800 Coupe had space for 2 people. The dashboard was simple but included a large speedometer and tachometer, along with 2 smaller gauges for fuel level and water temperature. The gear lever was positioned on the center tunnel, along with an ashtray and ventilation controls. A retractable canvas roof was not available on this coupe model, but it was an option on the S800 Roadster. What made the Honda S800 Coupe 1966 truly special was its engine. It had a 48 cubic inch 4-cylinder engine with dual overhead camshafts and 4 carburetors. This small engine produced 70 horsepower at 8,000 revolutions per minute, which was extremely high for its time. The engine could rev up to 10,000 revolutions per minute, something that most other manufacturers could not match. The power was sent to the rear wheels through a 4-speed manual gearbox. In its early production, the first 1,000 units of the S800 Coupe had a chain-driven rear axle, similar to a motorcycle. Later models switched to a regular drive shaft and live axle setup for better stability. The car could reach 100 miles per hour, making it Honda's first car to break the 100 miles per hour barrier. Despite its impressive performance, the Honda S800 Coupe never became a major success. It was introduced in Britain in 1967, where it was cheaper than the Mini Cooper and Triumph Spitfire. However, it was never officially sold in the United States, even though Honda modified it to meet American safety standards. By the time production ended in 1970, only 11,536 units of the Honda S800 were built. It remained a forgotten masterpiece, a tiny but powerful machine that could challenge bigger cars but never got the recognition it deserved. Number 10. Mitsubishi Colt 1000F Super Sports, 1966. In 1966, Mitsubishi introduced a sporty yet overlooked car that had everything to be a success but remained unknown to most people. The Mitsubishi Colt 1000F Super Sports was a compact fastback with a lightweight body and improved engine, making it a fun and capable car for its time. Despite its great performance and reliability, this car never got the attention it deserved. The Colt 1000F Super Sports was based on the Colt 800, sharing the same fastback shape but with better power and efficiency. Its front design featured round headlights, a narrow grille, and a simple bumper. The fastback roofline gave it a modern and aerodynamic look, different from other cars of its time. At the back, it had a stylish rear window and taillights positioned at the corners, giving it a clean and sporty appearance. Inside, the Colt 1000F Super Sports offered comfortable seats designed to reduce fatigue, making long drives more enjoyable. It had a simple dashboard with essential gauges for speed, fuel, and temperature, along with a 4-speed manual transmission operated by a column shifter. Unlike many cars at the time, this model focused on driving comfort and practicality, which made it stand out. The real highlight of the Colt 1000F Super Sports was its engine. It had a 61 cubic inch 4-cylinder engine that produced 55 horsepower at 6,000 revolutions per minute. This was an improvement from the earlier models, making it more powerful and responsive. The top speed was 78 miles per hour, which was impressive for a small car in the 1960s. The 4-speed manual transmission ensured smooth gear shifts, while the lightweight body made it quick and fun to drive. In 1967, Mitsubishi introduced a 3-door hatchback version, followed by a 4-door saloon model in 1968. The car was designed for high-speed motoring, offering better fuel economy, reliability, and comfort compared to other cars of its time. A unique feature was the spare tire compartment lid, which had folding legs, allowing it to be used as a picnic table. Despite its performance and practicality, the Mitsubishi Colt 1000F Super Sports remained unknown. It was overshadowed by bigger, more popular cars, and many people never got the chance to experience its potential. It was a hidden gem, a small but capable car that could have been a true classic if it had received the recognition it deserved. Number 9. Datsun Fairlady 2000, 1967. When people think of early Japanese sports cars in America, they usually remember the Datsun 240Z. But before that, there was a true competitor that never got the attention it deserved, the Datsun Fairlady 2000. This lightweight roadster had the power, handling, and price to take on popular European cars, but it remained in the shadows. Introduced on March 15, 1967, the Datsun Fairlady 2000 was a major step forward. It had a 122 cubic inch inline 4-cylinder engine, producing 135 horsepower. This was more powerful than many European roadsters of the time. For serious performance fans, Datsun even offered a competition kit with higher compression pistons, dual Mikuni carburetors, a hotter camshaft, and a 7-quart oil pan, pushing the power up to 150 horsepower. Unlike many sports cars back then, the Fairlady 2000 came with a 5-speed manual transmission, which was very rare for the time. Most competitors still used 4-speed gearboxes, but Datsun gave drivers better performance and fuel efficiency. This roadster could outperform many well-known European cars, but it still went unnoticed by most buyers. The design was simple but effective. It had a low and wide stance, giving it a sporty and balanced look. The front end had round headlights, a straight grille, and a clean bumper. The body measured 155.7 inches in length, with a wheelbase of 89.9 inches, making it compact yet well-proportioned. The rear end featured classic round taillights and a functional trunk, adding a touch of practicality to the sporty design. Inside, the Fairlady 2000 had a functional and driver-focused cockpit. The gauges were clear and easy to read, and the gear shift was precise and smooth. There was enough space for average-sized drivers, and the seats were comfortable for long drives. Unlike some European rivals that made buyers pay extra for radios, heaters, or seat belts, Datsun included these features as standard. On the road, the Fairlady 2000 was a true performer. It had strong acceleration thanks to its high-revving engine, and the 5-speed gearbox made driving more enjoyable. The brakes were effective, although the steering used a recirculating ball system, which was not as sharp as the rack and pinion setups found in some British sports cars. Despite its impressive performance and affordable price, the Fairlady 2000 never got the recognition it deserved. Only 1,000 left-hand drive models were produced in 1967, making it one of the rarest Datsun roadsters. This car had everything to be a legend, but it remained a forgotten gem in the sports car world. Number 8. Subaru 1000 Sports Sedan, 1966. Most people do not think of Subaru when talking about early front-wheel drive cars, but in 1966 the company introduced the Subaru 1000 Sports Sedan, a car that quietly made history. While other Japanese automakers focused on rear-wheel drive layouts, Subaru took a different path, creating a car that was ahead of its time but remained unnoticed by most. The Subaru 1000 Sports Sedan was the first front-wheel drive Subaru produced by Fuji Heavy Industries. Some claim it was Japan's first mass-produced front-wheel drive car, though Suzuki had been making small front-wheel drive cars since 1955. Before this, Subaru only made rear-engine, rear-wheel drive cars, like the Subaru 360 and Sambar. The Subaru 1000 was a major shift, yet it never got the attention it deserved. One of its most unique features was its water-cooled, horizontally opposed 4-cylinder engine. It had overhead valves operated by pushrods, a design that was unusual for the time. Subaru engineers studied engines from Porsche, Renault, DKW, and Chevrolet Corvair before deciding that a horizontally opposed engine with front-wheel drive was the best choice. However, this combination had problems, especially vibrations from the universal joints. To fix this, Subaru worked with Toyo Bearing, now known as NTN, and developed an innovative double offset joint. Even today, modern Subarus still uses horizontally opposed engines, making this car a true pioneer. Another strange feature was its braking system. Instead of traditional front disc brakes, Subaru used inboard drum brakes to reduce suspension weight and improve the independent front suspension. Unlike other manufacturers, Subaru kept this system well into the 1970s. The heating system was also different. It did not use a heater core. Instead, it took warmth directly from the radiator, which was an uncommon design choice. The suspension system was another unusual aspect. Subaru used a hybrid design that combined torsion bars with coil springs, similar to the Subaru 360. This mix of old and new technology gave the car better handling, but it was still overlooked by most buyers. The Subaru 1000 Sports Sedan was first shown in October 1965 at the Tokyo Motor Show and became available in May 1966. Even though it introduced many groundbreaking ideas, it remained a forgotten piece of automotive history, overshadowed by more well-known models. Number 7. Toyota Publica Sports, 1962. The Toyota Publica Sports was a concept car that many have forgotten, but it played a key role in shaping Toyota's sports car legacy. It first appeared in the 1962 Tokyo Auto Show, showing a design ahead of its time. The Publica Sports was built on the foundation of the Toyota Publica, an economy car, but transformed into something much more exciting. Despite its potential, this car never went into full production, making it one of Toyota's rarest designs. Instead, it served as the prototype for what would later become Toyota's first production sports car, the Toyota Sports 800, 1965. However, the Publica Sports itself remains largely unknown, hidden in the shadows of the cars that followed. At its core, the Publica Sports was built for efficiency and fun. It used a 43 cubic inch, two-cylinder, air-cooled engine, the same one found in the standard Toyota Publica. This engine produced 28 horsepower, which was modest, but the car's lightweight design helped it perform well for its size. It was capable of reaching speeds around 45 miles per hour in city driving, and it could push up to 100 miles per hour on a track. One of the most unique aspects of Publica Sports was its sliding canopy roof. Instead of conventional doors, this car featured a futuristic, bubble-like glass canopy that slid open, making it look straight out of a science fiction movie. This design was rarely seen in production cars, making it one of the most distinct features of any Toyota concept. The Publica Sports never made it to mass production. Toyota decided that the car was too ahead of its time, and instead focused on refining its ideas for a more practical sports car. Just 3 years later, in 1965, Toyota introduced the Sports 800, which took much of its inspiration from the Publica Sports, but with a more traditional design. Since only concept versions of the Publica Sports were built, very few people remember its existence. Unlike the later Sports 800, which had over 3,131 units produced, the Publica Sports remained a forgotten masterpiece in Toyota's history. This was a car that had the potential to change the sports car world, but instead became an unknown legend. Number 6. Hino Contessa 1300S, 1965. The Hino Contessa 1300S from 1965 is a car that many have overlooked, yet it carried the potential to be a true competitor in the compact performance segment. Built by Hino, a company better known for its trucks and buses, the Contessa 1300S was a sportier version of the standard Contessa 1300 sedan. This car was meant to challenge European sports sedans, but despite its impressive features, it faded into history, barely remembered by most. The Contessa 1300S had a rear-engine, rear-wheel drive layout, something rarely seen outside of European brands like Renault. This unique design made the car well-balanced and gave it excellent handling. However, since Hino was a small player in the passenger car market, the Contessa 1300S never gained the recognition it deserved. At its heart, the Contessa 1300S had a 79 cubic inch, four-cylinder engine with twin carburetors. This setup increased its output to 65 horsepower, making it more powerful than the standard 55 horsepower version. With a 4-speed manual transmission, it could reach a top speed of 81 miles per hour. The Contessa 1300S Coupe, released in April 1965, was given a sportier look. It had a sleek, fastback shape, twin headlights, and a grille-less front end, similar to the Renault 8 and Chevrolet Corvair, which also had rear engines. Unlike many Japanese cars of the time, it had European-inspired styling thanks to the influence of Italian designer Giovanni Michelotti. The Hino Contessa 1300S was a well-built and capable car, but it never had a chance to shine. In 1966, Hino partnered with Toyota, which meant that Hino's passenger cars were no longer a priority. Production of the Contessa slowed down, and by 1968 it was discontinued. Only 3,868 units of the coupe version were ever built, making it rare today. Unlike the Toyota Corolla, which was introduced around the same time and became a global success, the Contessa 1300S disappeared from the market. Today, very few of these cars remain, and even fewer people know about them. It was a car with great potential, but history simply left it behind. Number 5. Nissan Silvia CSP 311, 1965. The Nissan Silvia CSP 311 from 1965 was a car that almost no one remembers today. It was Nissan's first luxury coupe, built to compete with European sports cars. It had a handcrafted body, a refined design, and a high price, yet it disappeared quickly. Why? Because Nissan made fewer than 554 units before giving up, unlike the later Silvia models that became popular drift cars. The CSP 311 was more of a showpiece than a performance machine. It was built using the Datsun fairlady chassis, which was originally designed for a roadster. That meant the Silvia looked stylish, but did not offer the kind of advanced engineering that sports car buyers wanted. The CSP 311 was powered by a 98 cubic inch, 4-cylinder engine with twin SU carburetors. It produced 96 horsepower and was paired with a 4-speed manual transmission. Unlike European sports coupes, it had a live rear axle with leaf springs, which was outdated for a car in its price range. However, it did have disc brakes in the front, which was a rare feature for a Japanese car at the time. While it looked like a high-performance car, the Silvia was not particularly fast. It had a strong engine, but its chassis was more suited for a cruiser than a true sports car. Compared to the Toyota 2000 GT or the Mazda Cosmo, the Silvia lacked innovation. There was no fuel injection, no independent rear suspension, and no advanced technology, just a stylish body on an old platform. The biggest reason the Silvia CSP 311 is forgotten is that Nissan never fully committed to it. Since it was mostly hand-built, production was slow and expensive. The price was high, close to that of a Lotus Elan, but without the same reputation or performance. Almost all 554 units were sold in Japan, with just 49 sent to Australia and a few more to other countries. It was too rare to gain popularity and was quickly overshadowed by newer models. By 1968, production had ended, and Nissan had moved on. Today, the CSP 311 Silvia is a forgotten piece of history. It had the looks, but not the performance, and Nissan abandoned it before the world could notice. Number 4. Daihatsu Compagno Berlina GT, 1965. The Daihatsu Compagno Berlina GT 1965 is a car that many have forgotten. It was Japan's first luxury compact sedan, designed to offer both performance and practicality. But despite its promising start, it never became a household name. Daihatsu built this car to compete with European models, but it quietly faded away. Daihatsu wanted to create a stylish and powerful car without making it too expensive for buyers. The Compagno Berlina GT was a 2-door sedan with a longer wheelbase than the Spider version, making it more comfortable for passengers. But while other manufacturers focused on making their cars faster and more advanced, the Berlina GT kept things simple. The Berlina GT was powered by a 61 cubic inch 4-cylinder engine with twin carburetors. It produced 65 horsepower, the same as the Compagno Spider, which was known for its sporty feel. This power was sent to the wheels through a 4-speed manual transmission. While the Berlina GT had a strong engine for its size, it was not as fast or technologically advanced as other cars in its category. It had torsion bar, wishbone suspension in the front, and leaf springs in the rear, which was not as modern as some European cars at the time. The lightweight design made it fun to drive, but it was not a true sports sedan. One of the main reasons the Compagno Berlina GT is forgotten today is that Daihatsu never pushed it into the mainstream market. The car was not widely exported, and most units remained in Japan. Unlike its competitors, it did not have a strong racing history or major advertisements to make it famous. Another challenge was the growing competition. By the late 1960s, bigger brands were offering more advanced cars at similar prices. The Berlina GT, though stylish, lacked the technical innovation to stand out. It was a well-built car, but did not have the high-performance features or bold marketing needed to gain worldwide recognition. Between 1963 and 1970, Daihatsu built 120,000 Compagno models, but the Berlina GT remained a rare version. It had potential, but it never became the classic many thought it could be. Number 3. Prince Gloria Super 6, 1963. The Prince Gloria Super 6, 1963 was a car ahead of its time. It was the first Japanese 122 cubic inch sedan to feature a 6-cylinder engine, making it a unique model in the growing Japanese automobile industry. Despite its strong performance, this car is often overlooked today. While other brands gained international fame, the Gloria Super 6 quietly delivered power and innovation without getting the recognition it deserved. The Gloria Super 6 introduced the G7 engine, a 122 cubic inch, inline-6-cylinder, single overhead camshaft unit. This engine produced 106 horsepower at 5,400 revolutions per minute, making it a major step forward for Japanese engineering. At a time when most 122 cubic inch sedans only had 4-cylinder engines, the Gloria Super 6 stood out with its smooth and powerful 6-cylinder setup. Prince built the Super 6 with a front independent suspension and a DD-on rear axle, ensuring better stability and handling compared to its competitors. This advanced suspension setup made the car more balanced and responsive on the road, especially at higher speeds. Despite its powerful engine and smooth handling, the Gloria Super 6 never became a mainstream success. One major reason was limited international exposure. While some units were exported, they never made a strong impact outside Japan. Unlike other brands that aggressively pushed their cars into foreign markets, Prince remained focused on the domestic market, which kept the Super 6 in the shadows. Another reason was the fast-changing Japanese car industry. Just 1 year after the Gloria Super 6 debuted, Prince introduced a more advanced version with a 153 cubic inch engine, making the older model less appealing. This constant evolution in technology meant that cars like the Super 6 were quickly forgotten in favor of newer models. Even though the Super 6 won races like the second Japan Grand Prix in 1964, it was not enough to secure a lasting reputation. The car had the power and engineering to be legendary, but it never got the attention it truly deserved. Today, it remains an underrated classic, a reminder of Prince's forgotten contributions to performance sedans. Number 2, Suzuki Fronte 360SS, 1968. The Suzuki Fronte 360SS, 1968, was a lightweight two-door sedan that looked like a simple city car. But behind its round, compact design, it had an unexpected performance for its size, built under Japan's K-car regulations. It remained one of the most underrated performance K-cars of its time. Powered by a 22 cubic inch, 3-cylinder, air-cooled, 2-stroke engine, the Fronte SS produced 36 horsepower, a big jump from the standard model. With an independent suspension with coil springs, it handled tight corners smoothly and was surprisingly quick in city driving. Despite its strong performance for a K-car, the Fronte 360 SS never gained fame as a sleeper. Its small engine size made it easy to overlook, especially when larger, water-cooled performance cars were more popular. It also had a limited global presence, with a 29 cubic inch export version that never gained much attention. Its round shape, nicknamed Daruma, made it look like a cute city car rather than a performance machine. Though it had the power to surprise bigger cars, the Fronte SS was quickly overshadowed by newer models. Today, it remains one of the most forgotten performance K cars. Number 1, Nissan Cedric Special 50, 1963. The Nissan Cedric Special 50, 1963, was more than just a large sedan. It was a full-sized luxury car built when owning a car in Japan was still a dream for many. While other cars from that era gained attention, the Cedric Special 50 quietly became an unknown sleeper, offering power and comfort that few expected. At its heart was a 173 cubic inch, inline 6-cylinder overhead valve engine, producing 115 horsepower. This made it one of the most powerful domestic sedans of its time. Despite its strong performance and luxury, the Cedric Special 50 never became a widely recognized sleeper car. One reason was its refined, formal design, which made it look more like a limousine than a powerful sedan. Another factor was limited global presence. While Nissan exported some Cedric models, they never gained international fame like European luxury cars. By 1965, the Cedric Special 50 was replaced by the Nissan President, further pushing it into obscurity. With a powerful performance for its time, the Cedric Special 50 remains a forgotten classic, a sleeper that once offered both strength and elegance in a growing Japanese market. Which of these unknown Japanese sleeper cars surprised you the most? Have you ever seen one in action? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this, like the video and subscribe for more hidden car stories from Japan.